Hi, folks. Oh boy, I pulled the old PlayStation 3 out of the closet earlier this week, and you know what? Let's play around with it a little bit. Had to buy a little Switch so as to actually pick it up through the video capture, and that seems like it's working. It looks like it's working. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I don't really have a plan for this other than playing some stuff on the PlayStation 3. Honestly, I dug it out because it seemed on the surface like it'd be a really good way to stream some PlayStation 1 games until I figured out the whole HDCP mess, which I won't go into, but hey, it's working out. I'm afraid that the HDMI port might be a little iffy on it at this point because I've lost the feed from it a couple times. Seems like give it a little wiggle and it's back. So hopefully just try not to put too much pressure on it. Last thing I need is to figure out how to get a HDMI port on a PS3 replaced. That sounds like a nightmare. Anyway, looks like I started out on Luftrausers for a little background music. So let's play a little Luftrausers, shall we? Got the old PS3 controller. It was mostly juiced, sitting in the closet for, well, since I got a PS4, probably. So, a little shocked. I was worried that it was going to be inflated, but boy, I forgot just kind of how bad the PS3 controller kind of feels in the hands. Like, they did not figure things out that generation like Microsoft did. Like, it is. I'm surprised at how much it's still just a PlayStation 1 controller, but it has Bluetooth. At any rate, let's see, what do we do? Okay, launch, hanger. Boy, I don't remember how this game works at all. We're just gonna go with what we have. Okay. Normal. I don't know what any of this means, so okay, so the stick does work. Does this shoot? Oh, did I go into... Boy! Oh, okay, so it's not... I'm not pushing... Okay, up is like... Okay, I get it. Oh, wow, that was... Oh, I just think... Oh, stuff's ramming into me constantly. Do I have health somewhere, or is it just kind of have to know how much damage I can take? I remember this game being cool, but oh god, I gotta get out from that guy's crosshairs. But never really understanding how, or I was never very good at it. That's what I'm trying to say. Do I just like need to not take too many hits right in a row? Oh, the little circle's getting tight. Okay, so it's expanding again. Do I like? It's got like a little bit of regen there. Shoot! Oh god, they almost got me. Okay. Let's just run away for a bit. There's so much. Okay. Oh, wow. Look at all the bullets. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. I think I'm good for a second again. I missed. Just gonna shoot that little boat. Look at these guys behind. Oh, I missed again. Okay. Oh. I lost my multiplier, which is fine because, God, survival is all I've got on my mind right now. I can't hit those guys. Okay. Oh, they got me. Off the, you know, this is a tough one there. I just don't. Okay. Let's just launch again. Switch to the D-pad because it seems to make more sense to this game. Okay. Get whatever Luftrauser's legs I had. Oh! Ramming the guy count as... Yeah, okay. Blew those guys up. 8 times multiplier. I like that. That seems good. 11 times multiplier. Is that... I got the boat. I think I got the boat. Yikes. Let's... Ooh. Oh, man. Okay, that was rough. This might not be The game for... Yeah! Got that boat. Look at that. Oh, shit. Ran right into that plane. Okay. You guys. Oh, that seemed good. Oh, can't see in the clouds. Just follow my bullet. Oh. Ah, okay. Oh, nice. That felt good. I like blasting up against the water and seeing it like splash. Ooh, max multiplier. That feels good. Let's see if I can... Oh, no, missed. Oh, shit. Ran right into... Okay, okay, so much going on. Let's... Got it, nice. Happy with that. My multiplier is low again, though. Okay, got the guy chasing me. Okay, I'm getting... Ooh, that's a lot of bullets. I'm getting... that's... Oh, I took a lot. Taking him on the head. Oh, man, I'm just taking it. Oh, look at all them boats. Oh, I think I missed that one up. Let's dodge those bullets. Shoot another one at the big boat. Ooh, we gotta get out of that. Oof. Let's shoot some of the smoke. Ah! Oh god. This game is hard. Holy crap. I remember it being hard. I didn't really... I lived a lot longer, did not really get any more points. Okay, let's try this again. I should probably try a different setup, but boy, I don't remember how to play this at all, really. I mean, aside from that I'm flying, I kind of figure out how that works again. But I'll... Oh! Wow, they nailed me. Look at that. Oh, it's not gonna arc down at all. Oh, I missed. Oh, ooh, I took a lot of hits there. Okay. Oh, that's a miss. Nice, got him. Fire! Oh god, where am I? Oh, I'm just being bombarded. I need... Run away! There we go. Okay. Whoop! Oh, that was a bad shot. I felt like a fun maneuver. Oh, I rammed that boat. That's not what you want to do as a plane. There we go. Oh, I like that. I like the splash on this attack. Even if I'm having a hard time hitting with it, it's... Ooh, ram that plane. I want to get that guy. Yeah! Okay, how we doing? Yeeks! Ah, bullets everywhere! Yeah! Oh, ran out of juice. Or multiplier juice. Ah, I just got hit by a missile, I think. Oop. Okay, we're gonna... Yeah! I don't actually know what the real goal of this game is, but my goal is just to kill the boats. Ooh! Expert dodging on my behalf, I think. I'm just gonna take super credit for that, yeah. Yikes, things are rough. Oh, things are rough. Did I kill it? I got a little cutscene, so something good is happening, I think. Hey, level 9. I don't know what that means. Drop bomb, slower health regen. I don't know what. Select from the hangar. Okay, new body types. Okay, we got... Oops, accidentally launched. I don't... Okay. So I currently have a cannon. Homing missiles sounds fun. Insane damage. I do like the insane damage. Let's see what this laser is like. Okay, so body is armor, more health, slower movement. That seems good all around. L impact damage, less health. Explode on death, more impact. That's a body bomb. Drop bomb, slower health regen. The armor seems good for me. Oh, I changed the laser. Let's stay with the body for now. Engine hover. Almost no gravity. Okay. Interesting. Man, this is all... I'm just gonna... Just change one thing at a time because I don't remember this well enough for something like that. Okay. Okay. Oop. Okay, so the laser is fun, but definitely does not kill the way the big shot did, which is, it's definitely easier to hit things, which makes sense, but hey, I think I got that boat. Oh, stay out the water. Got hit from a distance. Oh, man. Somehow did worse. Let's see. Always be lasing. That's probably not the right thing to do because your turning and speed is... Oh. Let's get out of there. Oh, God. Alright, got a boat. I'm almost dead already, though. Oh, God. Yeah, maybe this isn't the weapon for me. Do I... Oh, you don't seem to regen while you're shooting. Okay, that explains a lot. Okay. Gotta remember that. Whoa. Bite me. Kill the little boat. Yeah, I killed the little boat. Okay. Let's get these guys that are out behind. Okay, let's... Oh, don't want to sit there right and... Oh. Okay. Did I get the big boat? Ooh, big mean guy came and wrecked my world. Okay. That's enough Lufrausers for now. Oof. That was a lot. That was a lot. Okay. Oh, let's see. Let's just go to the very tippity top here. Oh, we got save utilities and stuff. Okay, now these bubbles. I forgot this about the PlayStation 3, but things like this that you could download, you get a little bubble and you had to install it. Like, downloading and installing wasn't necessarily one smooth motion. And so we got, I imagine, taking up twice as much space on the little hard drive. Okay, so we were at the top. I've never actually played Remember Me, and I don't think I actually purchased it. I think it might have been a PS Plus game. I'm not going to play it right now because I fired it up the other day, and boy, it's got a long intro and nothing to get to anything, so I'm not going to do that. Oh. This is the one. I've never played The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, and so I'm going to hold off on just firing this up. Maybe I'll come back to it a little bit. Because I think I might actually want to play through this whole thing, and so I'm gonna hold on to it for now. You can play it on the PSP, huh? All right, you could play PS1 games on the PSP, but it was weird because the PSP doesn't have the second set of triggers, or well, the analog sticks don't matter so much because the PlayStation 1 didn't have them by default, but you still needed the triggers. Flower. They made a PS4 version of this that I imagine looks really sharp because I really liked the look of this game when it came out. I really like Flower. I think Flower's a good game. Personally, I like Flower better than Journey. I know that's not a common opinion these days, but Journey didn't do a whole lot for me. Like, I guess for some people, random player showing up that you can't directly communicate with, you're kind of just playing along. It did something for a lot of people, but it just didn't. Maybe because I had heard so much about it for so long, it just didn't do that much for me. Whereas I think Flower is really neat. Like, it's not like some people roll their eyes because it is a fairly simple, it's an environmental message. It's fairly simple. It's not... I don't think it's trying to be anything... It's not trying to be anything other than what it is, which is a really neat, interesting little indie game. That in 2009 looked amazing. Like it's relatively simple graphically. Can I skip the cutscene part? Nope, can't skip the cutscene part. Relatively, like, there's not a ton of stuff, but boy, it, like, all these individually rendered blades of grass sure are neat. Then the gyro controls, which, you know, this was 2009, we hadn't gotten to the point where we're immediately going, ugh, motion controls. But it's just a really neat concept, like, and this is another thing to remember, is this was before, it's a weird thing to think about, just, oh, it's kind of just automatically, ooh, look at these pretty little pedals. Like, indie games weren't just a daily thing that, you know, 100 launching every day on Steam kind of occurrence. Like, the indie scene before this generation was really, it was mostly in mods and stuff like Flash games on Newgrounds and things like that. Oh, okay, I already got those. And things like that. Like, indie games on consoles just weren't really a thing. Weren't a thing until really they started showing up on Xbox Live Arcade. Oh, wow. Whoa, okay. Like, if you had a game that was, like, even if you were a new startup studio, like, to get a game out there, even on the PC, like, you could put software out on, like, clearly, computers were open back then. But, like, it was really rare to get it out and in front of people without some sort of connection to a publisher. Like, even when you think of huge, like, shareware successes like Doom, you're like, oh, mostly word of mouth, but they did have connections in publishing that pushed that game, and they built a reputation on their previous games, which were pushed through publishers. Like it's really easy to forget that Doom was not the start of id. Like, there was a lot of, like, Commander Keen was a big thing. It wasn't like, I'm not speaking from experience there, that's just stuff I've read since. Because, I mean, we didn't have our first computer till 1999. Like, that was way post Commander Keen. That was way post Doom. Like, we were Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 territory when my family got their first computer. But even though id was a small startup studio, like, they had established publishers helping them out, you know, even with their shareware scheme. Like, just independent publishing just was not a thing in video games. And so seeing something like this, like, it was super neat, super, like, just didn't really happen. Like, and to be clear, Sony was still involved in the publishing in this. Like, this doesn't come out if not for Sony, probably. Which is why that Game Studios games came out on PlayStations, mostly, back then. I feel their last game, I don't know, like, I haven't heard that much about them recently, basically since Journey. I think they had a phone game that didn't really seem to do much for folks, but aside from that, I don't really know. Oh, this is a scary cavern. But yeah, this is just a neat, soothing, like, even more uncommon to have this sort of chill experience back then than they are now. Like we were still very much in the heyday of, hey bro, let's shoot things, blood and guts, that led to an experience like Gears of War. And to be clear, Gears of War is a great game, but it is very violent. And it's just the way things were still in the 2000s, even as late as 2009. Like, still a bit of that Mortal Kombat sort of attitude, like what's selling to guys who are buying video game consoles, blood and guts, TNA. And so this sort of super chill, minimalist, pretty colorful experience, like, maybe came out at the point where any of that was at least common that it could be. Like that's always a thing that kind of stands out about the Dreamcast in retrospect, is that like when I see a game now and I go, wow, that looks like a Dreamcast game, it's not a backhanded compliment or something going, oh, that just looks old and outdated. What it means is, oh boy, this game is colorful and stylish. Like, that was kind of a signature on the Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast didn't live long. Dreamcast had a short, vibrant life. And what really took hold is a much more, hey, let's try to push graphics as realistic as we can, and in doing so we're going to also use muted color palettes. There's going to be a lot of, like I said, violence and blood, and throw a little TNA in there, and that was the landscape when this came out. And they did something this still looks nice to me. Like, sure, some of it, like the models for those wind turbines are pretty simplistic and all that, but I think it looks really good. Honestly, with the way this is designed, I feel like this would be a great candidate for a ray tracing mod. I bet that could look really good. Of course, with all the really tiny little models, all the pedals and stuff, boy, I bet ray tracing would just be a bear to run. But still, really neat. I wonder what the PS4... I think I maybe fired up the PS4 version of this once, and it's going to be the same game, just probably at higher resolution, but I think this game looks really nice. I really like looking at this game. This is a really chill, cool experience. It's very relaxing, very zen. Clearly, I like just having it around because it was still installed on my PlayStation when it got retired. Well, that was a little flower. Okay. Hadn't done that level yet. Ooh, nighttime is the right time. Okay, that's probably enough flower for now, though. Seriously, really cool game. I wonder what that would be like in VR. Probably super nauseating. Oh, I see. It rearranges the thing you played last to the top. Got it. Okay, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is not something you can jump into for, 5 minutes. Like, I think it'd take 5 minutes just to get through the initial, here are some cutscenes stuff. I've never spent a lot of time with this. Like, I'm pretty sure this was also a PlayStation Plus game. I have somewhat recently bought the HD, which this was HD. The usage of the term HD remaster has lost all meaning. We're doing HD remasters on games that came out in HD. Like, come on, give me a break. But regardless, I think I bought that new version on the Xbox because I do want to give this game an honest to God try. Like, I played this a little bit at the time. 2014, it looks like. And, you know, just, it didn't grab me, I guess. Didn't grab me. Oh, Parasite Eve, I love this game. We're gonna fire this up, probably not play it very long. It's a 90s JRPG. Like, we're not gonna get very deep into this before like, it's going to be front loaded with talking and stuff, but it is an appropriate game to play for October. More appropriate for a Christmas game. One of the very few Christmas games out there. This whole thing takes place around, I want to say, between Christmas Eve and New Year's. God, I love this game. I'm just excited. We're just going to chill a second. Published by Square Electronic Arts. Now, that's a fun throwback. There was a brief time where EA was basically publishing Squaresoft games over here because Square didn't feel like they had a big enough presence to do it. And then they did the reverse. Squaresoft was publishing EA games in Japan. It didn't last very long. This is a fucking jam. This song, oh, I still love this song. It still just gets me right here in the chest area. Just like, seriously, I don't know what it is about the song. I absolutely love it. Gets me fucking pumped. Just like Fall Out Boy. Not like Fall Out Boy. There's a reference that I'm sure nobody will get. Alright, we're gonna watch this whole opening cutscene because this song slaps. That's the whole... Also, you know what? I loved these CG cutscenes back in the late 90s. These were so cool to me. Like, I'm playing a video game and now it looks like this? Look at this. This is amazing. This is coming out of a thing under my TV. How is that even possible? You know, this was before CG was super common in movies. Like, it was being used in movies and stuff. It wasn't super common yet. If you go back and see the movies where they did the CG in the late 90s, like, 99% of it is super rough. Really hard to look at. But when it's all, like, when it's got a cohesive style and it's not trying to be super realistic, like, it was so cool. This doesn't look terrible. Like, clearly not. You know, even up to well, like, even on the PS3, like, I feel like in-game graphics got to a point where these cutscenes looked a bit outdated, but this game at least had a cohesive style and consistency. Something you couldn't really say for, like, Final Fantasy VII that came out not long before this. This, I think, was between 7 and 8. Tutorial. Ooh, EX game. How do I get... Oh! I'm using this... Oh, it's an analog stick game. Look at that. EX game. Does that mean I've... Oops. I accidentally exited. We don't need to watch the cutscene again. I guarantee at the time I probably would have. So it must have read a save hour. Okay. Does it gotta... It took me 8.5 hours. So this must have been the one I played. Yeah, this must have been what I played when, so I did a podcast, which is why the channel is called Slayer One Podcast. I did a podcast for about 3 years with some friends of mine. We were playing, mostly old games. And we did Parasite Eve for our Christmas game one year. So this must have been the version I played then, which is probably one of the last games I actually played through on the PS3. Um, I also played through, I think the actual last game I probably played through was that third uh, Uncharted game, which was, it was okay. Seriously, that's, for early 90s CG by a game studio, like, that's a pretty good Statue of Liberty, I think. Really good job of setting the mood here. I feel like a lot of this is the kind of stuff that games kind of miss these days. Like, this is really setting a mood from the get-go. Like, it's all this Christmas stuff, but it is a little somber, a little oppressive. And I feel like video games these days, well, first of all, there's so many that just want to be first person immediately, so they all want to do the Half-Life thing, just kind of walking or riding and looking at things around, and there's a lot to be said for proper framing, camera work kind of stuff going on. Man, this is a game that would be ripe for a Final Fantasy VII Remakes type treatment, full voice acting and all that. I'm not going to read the text today. Boy, I wonder how that's hard to read on my TV. Since we're not playing through this, we're just taking a little peek at a little parasite peek, as it were. Yep, Abria, NYPD officer. That is correct. Iabria. That's problem with not having voice acting in your games. Don't know how. Like, to be clear, Square's decision to not be doing voice acting in their games during this era, well, at the time it seemed like, come on, these other games are doing the voice acting. Like, do some voice acting. Put some voice acting in your game. What are you doing? I think in retrospect, it's probably the right decision. Because most voice acting from that era doesn't stand up in video games. There are, exceptions. Like, I think Metal Gear Solid was way ahead of its time in that department. But for the most part, there's a lot of what sounds like somebody talking into a headset mic in an empty room. Somebody who, from accounting, or you can think of like the voice acting from Resident Evil. Like, it is real rough in Resident Evil. The master of unlocking a Jill sandwich. Just nonsense like that. So really, the writing, I guess, is probably still pretty good in these games. Man, the graphics were mind-blowing in 98. Like, we looked at this like, wow, look at that. Those look like real people. Look at this. Not so much anymore. Unfortunately, not so much. But there is something to be said about the aesthetic of these pre-rendered backgrounds with polygons on top that I kind of dig. That I'm kind of surprised that we haven't gotten back to that in indie games, honestly. Like, that seems like something I would expect, like you're seeing more of a resurgence, or not a resurgence, an uptick in indie games that are using, like, PlayStation 1 and N64 style graphics as a style. I don't know that overall, like, I hope it doesn't get overdone, because, like, pixel art from the Super Nintendo era and even back to the NES can hold up, because there's a there's a simplicity to it that you can do really nice line art and have a really cool style. Having a style that holds up over time from this era is a lot harder, and there are some games that still look good. I feel like Tron Bonne and Mega Man Legends are probably gonna look pretty decent because they really went for a cartoonish look and, you know, big shapes, and that probably holds up pretty well. But like, honestly, going back to this as your art style, the equivalent in 2D would be going back to an Atari 2600 style art style and going, hey, look at this. This is the style, which you could pull off. Like, you could see a game every once in a while pulling something off neat like that, but having a whole deluge of indie games that were doing that, like, no, this doesn't actually look very good. Like, you can do it, it can be neat once or twice, but, and that's where this is. Like, these were really primitive 3D graphics. Like, it's real, like, I understand the temptation, because it would certainly take less work than a full modern 3D aesthetic, but like, what games like this were going for was like pushing the limit, doing the best they can. And so to do justice for this sort of style now, it would be a big budget Final Fantasy VII remake style graphical treatment, which I think this would look awesome in something like this. And it's a nice small area. You could do that and do this entire game in that aesthetic, and it would fit in that, be a lot more doable than Final Fantasy VII was. Like, that they had to take, honestly, like, what, 4 to 6 hours of that game and made a 40-hour game out of it. Like, the scope of this is contained enough that you could do something really neat that way. The whole concept behind this game, like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, and try to tell you it's high art or anything, but really neat, just really neat concepts for a JRPG. I really like the combat system, if I can remember how to do it. Okay, I'll push. Okay, I didn't do the tutorial. She's going to zap at me. My body's getting hot. Like, can you imagine a voice actress from back then delivering those lines on, again, office microphone? My body, it's getting hot. What did you do to me? I imagine something like that would be the cadence that we'd see. Like, this is a really neat way to combine kind of real-time action and a more JRPG turn-based combat system. Like, super cool. Never seen something like it again. Like, I can't think of one other game that ever did something even remotely similar to this. Like, I always felt like this was Square's response to Resident Evil blowing up. Like, Resident Evil was huge on the PlayStation. Like, it became like you can't overstate how big Resident Evil 1 and 2 were on the PlayStation. They're just massive franchises. And this is kind of like Square going, well, I don't think we can do this, but we could kind of do that in a JRPG. What would that look like? And this is what they came up with. Like, it's still very JRPG, very melodramatic, but they managed to kind of limit the scope to a city, and Nope, nope. Meant to go forget it because I saw a box over there and the stick popped back up on me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, they limited the scope. It's a nice 8 to 10 hour game, which, please, let's have more games that I can finish in a reasonable amount of time, please. Like, over the course of a weekend or two. But limited the scope. Still had your super out there JRPG style story. Really pushed themselves graphically. Like, this is the era where, like, for a time, Squaresoft, that was the company where you went, oh wow, they're pushing graphics. Like, they make the best looking games on a system. Um, and I think that lasted for a couple generations. Even honestly, even on PS3, like Final Fantasy 13, for all its flaws, looks amazing. Like, I think it would take too long to install to play it a bit, but I think that's the sort of game that, like, up-resed. I think I have it on the Xbox. I think the assets on the 360 version probably aren't what you want for getting it up-res to 4K or whatever the Series X will do, but that game looked astonishing. And you know what? The Final Fantasy VII Remake looked really good, but, like, it wasn't, like, a step beyond what anybody else is doing the way. Like, this doesn't look like much now, but it's a step up from what they had on Final Fantasy VII, and honestly, like, looks better than most of what you'd see on the PlayStation 1 at the time. Like, there's very little, like, things aren't nearly as swimmy and jaggy, and I think a lot of it is, like, some people would have said it was a weird choice at the time to keep sticking with these pre-rendered backgrounds the way that they did, but doing that allows them to, like, if you're just loading an image with some interactive elements in the backgrounds, like, that leaves you a lot more room, I have to imagine, for the PlayStation to render the polygonal graphics of the rest of the game. And so you've got these really nice, like, again, not much by today's standards, but that's a really nice polygonal model for 1998. Like, a lot of little details, a lot, like, there's a lot of shape to it. Don't take this wrong way. There's a lot of shape to her body, like, a lot of good animation. Like, they really put a lot into this. You really think she's robbing you, fella? Why is he alive? Oh. Yep, that's what I figured. Not alive for much longer. Clearly, I could sit and talk about this game for quite a while. It's a really cool game. But I could probably stop. We saw the combat. We saw some sweet cutscenes. Started playing it. I want to keep playing it, though. Just want to keep playing it. It's a great game. It's a real shame that I don't know how well it sold. I don't know. Like, it was common enough that, well, this actually weirdly isn't really saying much. I grew up in a very small town, and I played this by renting it, like renting it from the grocery store. Like, town I grew up in was small enough that we didn't have a Blockbuster or any of the chains that competed with Blockbuster. Oh, right, phones for saving. Neat idea. I don't want to save though, so we're just gonna go blip. So, like, our rentals were grocery stores and gas stations. Like one of the grocery stores and two of the gas stations had movies. Oh, seems like I needed something to get, probably a key in here that I missed. I thought I was clicking on, but I got the cell phone instead. Ah, indeed. Yep, there we go. And this was there. Weird, but that's how I played it. I think the reason I bought it on the PlayStation is I don't have a physical copy of this, and I would really like to have one. Do I need to go into a menu and use a key? I keep forgetting that back on PlayStation 1, you got analog or you got the D-pad, and so I keep trying to use the D-pad in menus, and that's just simply not how it worked. You had a button on the controller that switched between analog and digital. Okay, use item. Oh, nope, that's not how it works. Okay. Can't get in that door. She doesn't have a run, which is unfortunate. Could I go on that one before, or was it locked? Did I get to unlock it with the key? It's taking a while to load, so nope. So that it was in my small town, I was gonna say, well, see, look, there was enough of it going around, but actually there was a lot of weird shit, like, surprising, like, I rented a lot of JRPGs. I played, like, that's how I played Chrono Trigger initially, was renting it. I do own a copy of Chrono Trigger. And get away from me, you dirty rats. Ah! Oh, he's gonna... I like that they didn't give in to the temptation to, put a gauge on movement too. Like, you can just move until you put in a command. Like, that's pretty cool. Most RPGs, if they're gonna put movement in there, like, it's gotta have points too. Okay, unlock these doors. But, like, I played Final Fantasy 2 off of a rental. I know I saw, like, I think Ys 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 1. Like, it was a collection that I never played. Like, the other thing, I didn't actually own a PlayStation 1 until, I want to say, the year 2000. Like, I got it after Dreamcast. Just like, my family got one. Like, we had a Nintendo 64, and first time I played Final Fantasy 7 was fully out of a friend's house. Again, he had a PlayStation. We rented Final Fantasy 7 from the grocery store. Played through the entire game. Got through the fight with Sephiroth. And then you know how they have, like, you beat the big fight, and then they have that one-on-one showdown between Cloud and Sephiroth, and there's this little low CG scene between those two where it loads the fight. Scratch on that last disc. Frozen died every time on that cutscene. Could not finish Final Fantasy 7 until eventually one of us bought the game. Which, back then, like, people talk a lot about how games are expensive and stuff now. Like, games are still, like, they just went up to $70. In the 90s, like, 50, 60, like, Star Fox on the N64, $80. Like, look at inflation, like how much money those games would cost today. Like, games are cheap. Like, to be clear, we're talking $70 for big AAA games with tons of budget, like all the graphical bells and with like so much going into a $70 game. And there are so many $10 to $20 games out there. And also all these games, like within the year that they release, are drop down to $50, $40, $20 sometimes. Like, gaming is a steal these days. Like, it's just perspective. Not to mention there's so many free-to-play games, or something like Game Pass, $15 a month, or $10 to $15 a month, and you get access to so many games. Like, you used to pay $5 to rent a game for 2 days. Now you can buy a game for $5. If you're okay being a few years behind, you can buy big budget, big games for the kind of money that we would spend renting games. Like even if you don't have even if I'm thinking about the kind of money that I had to spend on games when I was a kid, which wasn't very much, like it was asking for some money from dad once in a while, or saving up my allowances. Oh, let's try to dodge this first. Oh shit, shot one on each side of me. Dirty. Like, you can do a lot of video game playing for the kind of money that we spent. So much more. Like, we'd play the games that we had. Sometimes mom and dad would go to the state fair and they'd come home with a copy of Bubsy, and you go, what the fuck is Bubsy? And then you would play Bubsy. You'd play a lot of Bubsy because it was one of the 3 games you owned. True story. Just to be clear. Can I use an item? I think I need to use some medicine. Like, I can't tell you how much fucking Bubsy on the Super Nintendo I played, because that was the game I had. Doing an awful job at dodging those. And that's how it was. Like, games were expensive. You didn't get a whole lot of them. You got to rent some games once in a while. And, like, you have so many more options for playing video games these days. Like, it's insane. And so that's what I think of whenever somebody complains about, oh, I paid $50, I paid $60, $70 for this game, and it's only 20 hours. I'm like, man, you know how much I paid for games that you could do a playthrough in the afternoon? You know what we did? We played it again. Like, that's a luxury, man. Like, getting to play a game that you really enjoyed again. Like, games want so much of your time now that you don't get that. You don't get to just play a game you loved again. Like, you have to sit and make the decision. Do I play this game? I really enjoyed this game. What was... Like, if you really enjoyed Elden Ring, for example, this year. Something so many people love this year. Elden Ring. And you go, man, I love this game. Might be one of my favorite games. I want to play it again. Are you going to commit to 120 fucking hours of playing through that game again? Or are you going to go think, well, maybe I should play another new game. Play a game I haven't played yet. That is also, 80 to 100 hours. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I played through Chrono Trigger so many times when I was a kid. I played through Mega Man X so many times when I was a kid. Those are games I absolutely love, and like, having the time to replay games feels like a privilege these days, because so many video games are released. And so many of them want so many of your time, so much of your time. Okay, I think I've probably played enough Parasite Eve. Love this game. Great game. Like, if you get a game and it's a relatively short experience and you really love it, appreciate it, savor it, be like, oh, this is great. This is such a great thing that I've had such a lovely experience from front to. That's the other thing is if it's a shorter experience, it can be great from start to finish. So if you got 40, 80, 100 hours of a video game, like there are going to be parts where you're like, eh. I don't know what R-Type Dimensions is. I wonder if I got it through PlayStation Plus. Yeah, sure, yeah. Cloud saves, PlayStation 3, go for it. Um, like getting to go back, yeah, just appreciate that you get an opportunity to experience a thing again. Like, don't treat every game as it's something to only be played through. Like, you can, yeah, you can enjoy a thing again. I don't know. I'm not a big R-Type person, so I don't. Let's. Yeah, we're not doing. Oh, what? I have no idea what this is. Why is it on my PlayStation? I've never been a big shmup person. Not a big person for this style of 2D shooter. Wow, long loading. Okay. Oh, when they said 2D, they really meant they were. Huh. I don't feel like this actually looks like R-Type looked back then. Like. Yeah, no, this doesn't look or feel like those games. Like, this is super slow compared to what that style of game was back then. That's weird. Weird decision. Like, this looks like an indie 2D graphics from the time. Wow, this. There, got him. Like, this is not what these games used to look like. Pretty sure. Also, again, this is so slow. Well, I got lasers now. Now, can I stop? Can I... Options. Okay. Took a few button presses to get there, but okay, so... This sure is something. God, this is sluggish. Oh my. I kind of like the lasers that were bouncing off the walls better. It gave me... Let me hit the stuff at the side a lot easier. Oh, now I've got... Okay. Okay, I'm done with this game. This is astonishingly slow. Okay. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Mega Man 8. Oh, I don't know if I want to dive into this at all. Okay, just a minute. Just a couple minutes of Mega Man 8. I really don't like Mega Man 8. There are Mega Man 8 apologists out there. I think Mega Man 8 might be the worst of the original series Mega Man. If Mega Man X7 didn't exist, I might say it's the worst Mega Man game I've ever played. Yeah. Might be the worst Mega Man game I ever played, if not for that. It's so bad. This is such a bad game. Like, like it's got big, beautiful graphics. Like, I love that they did the 2D art for it. And it looks really good. Mega Man's too big on screen. Like, Mega Man needs to, like, you need to have lots of room to maneuver in Mega Man, and you don't have it in here. And there's these levels where it's like, jump, jump, duck, duck, on your little sled or whatever, and, like, that is, oh, those levels suck so much. And also, they're split into two behind load screens. Like, that is super weird and not Mega Man-y. I like the little anime at the start, like, that's neat. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna hear a little voice acting, and it's a good example of why it might have been the right decision for Square to not put voice acting in their games on the PlayStation 1. What the hell is this Phantasy Star music, though? Like, don't get me wrong, I love PSO music, but this is not Mega Man music. Oh good, it looks like my little circle is outside of the 4x3 window on these games, so I'm gonna pull up the little, you got settings. Screen mode, normal or full screen. What is it gonna stretch it if I go full screen? Okay, yep. It stretches it. We do not want that. Do not want. Just want to make sure. Then smoothing. Like, that's just a little bit of graphical smoothing, I think. Not a lot. Yep, looks like I'm well and truly outside the 4x3 frame. Okay, great. So we're gonna... I played through this for the first time fully on the Mega Man Legacy Collection DOS. Ah, man. Playing all those Mega Man games next to each other really shines a poor light on this. And really, I think at the same time kind of made me think Mega Man 5 and 4 through 6 kind of get a bad rap. Like, they are, like, maybe they're not as exciting and new as 2 and 3 were at the time, but they are mechanically sound. The bosses were fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with those Mega Man games. 7 suffers from problems of the sprites being too big like this too. Like, everything felt claustrophobic. What was okay. Like, it wasn't all, there weren't as many problems as this thing. This game is just, oof. In 9, 10, and 11 we're all fine too. I remember really liking the PS1 Mega Man X games, but those don't quite hold up as much as I like. Like, 4 was okay, but not as good as the Super Nintendo games. 5, a bit rougher. Didn't get through it last time I tried to play through it. And 6 was always a garbage pile. Like, oof, that game. And then 7 is... Look, if you don't know what Mega Man X7 is, ugh. Yep, there's that voice acting. To be clear, in-game voice acting at this time was only slightly worse than a lot of the voice acting in anime. Like, rough times for voiceovers in more niche mediums. Both much better these days. And to be clear, I'm not saying all the anime voice acting back then was bad. Like, there was some of it was definitely good. Like, Cowboy Bebop, still one of the best dubs that there's been.
Don't run away, coward. You'll pay for this insult.
Dr. Light as Elmer Fudd, astonishing. Let's skip the rest of this cutscene. Let's just play a little of this atrocity. Look at that. That's, wow. You're starting like, oh wow, look, okay. Okay, actually, he's not as big on the screen in this one as I remember. Okay, he's got a slide. He's got... I don't know what that's doing. Oh, yeah, it's not... Okay, he was too big in the Super Nintendo one and it felt claustrophobic. He's a good size in this one, but there's too much animation. He doesn't feel as snappy as he does in the other games. Like, look at all that lots of animation. Like, that part is... like, well, look at all the animation on these little guys. Like, that part is pretty cool, but it feels super slow. As you can see, I've had a hard time just jumping over simple platforms. Great looking backgrounds. Those hold up really well. Oh yeah, and this ball was a weird mechanic that didn't seem necessary. Like... I'm not even quite sure what the point of it was. Oh, is this a door? Answer is yes. Load time. Oh. Why does it sound like they got a bootleg version of the Mario Underground theme going on? Now what? Oh, what? What? Mega Man could swim, that's not Mega Man-y. That's weird, I don't know about that. Ooh, that hurt. Oh yeah, there's this whole upgrade system. See, those jumps are awkward, they don't seem right. Yeah, a lot of attention to the graphics and maybe not enough attention to making sure the gameplay felt as tight as it did on those NES games. Like, this feels super slow. And that's especially hard when you had all those Mega Man X games at this time that moved so quickly. I just feel like I'm kind of trudging along here. It is nice looking though, like, good looks. Oh. God, that slide was so slow, it didn't take me anywhere. Okay, let's try the ball. Okay, the ball works on him. I don't know whether those... Oh yeah, he has a health bar. Because Mega Man games have health bars, which I forgot. There we go. Got him. Like, this game feels like it was almost there. Like, it needed a little more love, and also needed this voice acting to not exist.
Now the world is mine. Gotcha.
Also, all the story, like, who needs Mega Man to have this much talking? Come on, it's too much talking. It's Mega Man. I'm done. We're good. That's Mega Man 8. Interesting. Interesting little oddity in the Mega Man series.
I got it, Doctor.
Let's see, what else we got here? No, we need to play our Uncharted. Bust a Move, it's Bust a Move. I've got a Persona 3 on here. Fest. So I think Fest was before they let you control the other members. I feel like maybe that was the Persona 3 portable version. that finally gave you control over the other party members. Um, yeah, I think that's right. This, we'll boot it up. We'll watch a little. Let's watch see the little intro for Persona 3. Like I've never beat Persona 3. These games are so long, which is kind of what I'm talking about. Like I've never gone and played through Persona 4 again, and Persona 4, one of my top PlayStation 2 games, I would say. But they are so long. And I've probably put 40 hours into Persona 3. Like, I think it's fine. I don't think it's as good as Persona 4. Um, the combat, the combat in Persona games, like, don't let anybody fool you. The combat isn't what you're here for. You're here for all the anime ass social links stuff and the story. Like, that's what you're here for. That's the good time. The combat is something that is adequate to get you through. Um, and so when they put more, when there was even more combat in Persona 5, like, yeah, they improved the combat in Persona 5. It's still not good. Like, and there's so much fighting in Persona 5. They added extra combat that was just not necessary. Still got the jams though. And I think the other thing I didn't care for about the portable version of Persona 3 is, like, I feel like maybe I don't know things quite right. It's been a while, man. But I feel like you don't get to walk around like you're like on the overworld, like you're like, okay, you got a menu, go over to this area, this shop, go over to this shop, and it kind of like walking around in the world in these games, because they've got such a vibe. Like replacing it with a map just doesn't quite do it. Like all these cutscenes make me really want to play through Persona 3. Like it looks cool as hell, but it takes so long to get through. Maybe I should play it on easy. Maybe that's the way to go. Persona 3 easy mode. Okay, where's the any button? I've pushed multiple buttons and nothing has happened. Oh. Let's see, what's the battery? Okay, it says it's got 2 bars on the charge level, so why did the controller turn off? The journey and the answer. I don't know what the answer means. Is that like the bonus content? Do I have a Persona 3 save on the PlayStation? I do, about 3.5 hours. So, actually, this might be the version I played the most. Not this version that's right here, right now. We're not going to go with that save. We'll just do a new game. But on an emulator. I think I played the fourth 40-ish hours on an emulator. So clearly I started on the PlayStation 3. And I have the PSP version that I played for quite a bit. Yeah, what was added? I don't know why I said yes to that. Yes, let's play the video game, please. We're probably not going to do any playing in this game. It takes. I did not have a save from Persona 3. So clearly when I played this, it was, well, I mean, that goes without saying. I was playing on PlayStation 3. I don't have a Persona 3 save, thank you. Yes, let's go. Clearly post Persona 4 Endurance Run, because I named my guy Charlie Tanoku. Yeah, I have to wonder if doing easy mode actually has any meaningful changes on the game aside from just difficulty. Like, I feel like these days it's mostly like making you lose out or not be able to get a good ending because you chose to play on it easy has fallen out of style, so you don't have to worry so much. Back in these days though, sometimes you chose easy mode and you would just, it wouldn't tell you at the beginning, but you would get locked out of a good ending or something because you chose easy mode. Like, well, what's the point of the easy mode then if I can't fully enjoy the game on easy? Also tell me up front that that's going to happen, please. Again, so much mood being set up right now. Doing such a good job of kind of being like, something is clearly off here. This is some...
Are you serious? You didn't know? You're an idiot.
Like, this is a really cool... They're doing a great job of setting a tone for what this game is right now. And it does feel a bit like the big developers don't trust their players to be able to sit through just a couple minutes of setup at the start of the game to really get this kind of tone piece going. Like, if I'm, like, we've been playing for, this game has been on for almost 5 minutes, I haven't shot anything yet. What are we even doing here? And to be fair, they probably have a lot of data that says, hey, we need to let somebody shoot a thing immediately or they're going to put the game down. Which is a failing for us as a people, as a game-playing people.
We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused by the delay. The next stop is Ewood. You got to let it move first, let it out. Ewood Todai. Let's get it up. Then what you gonna do is Ewood Todai. Ewood Todai. This is the final train bound for Tatsumi Port Island. Please make sure you board in time for departure.
I like the music in Persona 5, but I do think both 3 and 4 kind of outpace it. Like, this stuff is really good. It makes you want to start moving immediately. And I think there's less of that in Persona 5. Not like to dig on Persona 5. Once I did Royale, I feel like they fixed most of the things that I didn't care for in that game, aside from, you know, there still being way too much combat, which that's how they make Persona games. They're not going to change that, even no matter how much I think they probably should really cut every dungeon in these games in half. They're not going to, so... But Persona 5, like the original release, I stopped about 40 hours in. It just got to be a drag. I did play all the way through Persona 5 Royal, and like, it's good. Again, still not Persona 4. Persona 4 might end up being a singular thing for Atlas. Like they might not reach those highs again. It was just so good.
You're late.
So perfect, but
I've been
also
waiting a
perfect
long
for a
time
moment
for
in
you.
time. And I feel like they need to understand that as well.
Now, if you want to proceed, please sign your name there.
Okay, look at
It's
this
a
keyboard.
contract. Don't worry. All it says is that you'll accept
Enter my
full
last name.
responsibility
Well,
for your
I'm not
actions.
gonna, this is just gonna
You
be to
know,
play a little
the
bit, so that's my
usual
last
stuff.
name. And enter my first name. There, we got it. Yep. Gotta mark a point in time with your name in conventions if you're not actually gonna play through the game.
No one can escape time. It delivers us all to the same end.
Notice how much
You can't
the voice
plug your
acting
ears and
game
cover
had
your
improved
eyes.
in the less than 10 years between this game and
And
Mega
so
Man
it
8.
begins.
So much better here.
Who's there?
She was just gonna shoot me.
Takeba, wait!
So the other thing about Persona 5, and this is nitpicky, but the in-game, like, they put more.
I didn't think you'd arrive so late.
It felt like they wanted the
My name
in-game
is Mitsuru
graphics
Kirito.
to
I'm one
be
of the students who live in the
to
store.
shine more, but
Who's he?
they were kind of
He's a transfer
disappointing. Like
student. It was
3
a
and
last-minute
4, like
decision
it's
with my
clearly
mom.
these are relatively lower budget
He'll eventually
games,
be
and
moved to a
so
room in the boys'
to
dorm.
wit, they had simpler character models, simpler
Is it okay for him
backgrounds,
to be here?
and it worked. Like you understood, it's like okay,
I
this
guess we'll
isn't
see.
Final Fantasy 10 or
This is
12.
Yukari Takeba. She'll be a junior this spring, just like you.
And so, you know, simpler 3D models for everything, and it worked. In Persona 5, they made realistically proportioned in-game characters,
Yeah.
tried more detailed backgrounds, but
Nice to meet you too.
they
It's
didn't.
getting late.
They
so you
didn't
Your room's on the
really
second floor at the end of the
transition
hallway.
their
Your things
work
should
from
already be there.
the 3 to from PlayStation 3 to 4. Like it looked on a PlayStation 4, it looks like a higher
I'll show you
res
the way.
PlayStation
Follow
3
me.
game, and it's just like it's not as detailed and nice looking as you want from a game that seems like it's supposed to be a pretty big budget game by you know, let's not forget Sega owns Atlas now. It is in effect a Sega game. Like they've got a budget now, and so
This is it.
when you look at it, like
Pretty easy to remember.
the
huh?
mouth's not
Since
moving,
it's right at the end of the hall.
the simplicity, like the background, like
Oh yeah.
the
Make
relatively
sure you
low
have one
res
key,
of
or
the
you'll never hear the end of it.
textures, like
So,
it's a little
any questions?
off-putting. Whereas I feel like if they had gone simpler like this again, you could go, oh,
Huh?
okay, this was a choice.
What
The way it
gotcha?
looks is a choice, where not a lack of budget or lack of follow through.
Can I ask
Like
you
I
something?
don't know what the situation developing Persona 5 is.
Right
I'm not
from
gonna
the
sit here and
station.
try to
Was everything
say that
okay?
you know they didn't try, but it
I see.
feels like they didn't quite get to where I
mind
would
then.
want the
I
in-engine
better get going.
graphics to look, especially with how good the animated cutscenes look. Like it's a
I'm sure you
little
still have other questions, but let's save them for later, okay?
like you need a bigger separation if
night.
you're not going to go all the way. So this is a Persona. I don't need to play any more Persona. We're not going to get to combat anytime soon. So I'm just going to quit. Like that was 10 minutes of Persona 3.
It's your
Personas take a while to get going. Need a drink. My drink is a little ways away. And I drip Coke on my pants. Good job, me. What else we got here? Interesting. So the controller worked the whole time I was playing that. I bumped out of it and it turned off. I'm wondering if there's something about the PlayStation. I guess this is a PlayStation 2 game. I wonder if it's about PlayStation 2. Like, man, I wish I had one of those PlayStation 3s that actually played PS2 games instead of that. I'm still not going to play that. This came out at a time where those endless runners were a thing. I feel like those have kind of gone away. This was something to play with, you know, family and stuff. Don't actually know what Rain is. Don't actually know what Rain is. Seems like the sort of indie thing that was probably neat at the time. It looks like they probably were going for graphics, so it probably doesn't hold up. I don't feel like jumping into this because I have no idea what it is. That's right, I played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV on the PS3. This version of this game runs at such a low resolution and such a low frame rate. It is astonishing. Astonishing that I played as much as I could. But the PC I had at the time couldn't really handle it. So, played it on PlayStation 3. Played through all of A Realm Reborn on the PlayStation 3. I think Heaven's Ward I mostly played on this laptop right here that I got in 2014, which is now making it a kind of an old laptop. It's 8 years old. Wow. Little Big Planet karting. I've never actually, I don't know if I've ever inbooted this up. I think I might have downloaded it to try to play with my wife before discovering she doesn't like kart racing games. As universal as I thought, she doesn't even really care for Mario Kart, so. Well, streaming off of this thing seems to work now with that little switcher box. So, great. That's what I wanted. So now, I can play PlayStation 1 games again. Because I've apparently been feeling a bit of nostalgia for wanting to go play some PlayStation 1 games. Got some loads on this guy. 2012, okay. Late era PS3 games. I've been leaning forward too much, it's starting to make my back hurt. Yeah, we're just going to skip some stuff. Oh. I'm going to guess you're going into this kart racing game. Sorry, bud.
Consider the time
Do we reticulate some splines in there? Is that what's going on?
Short trips, long journeys, traffic jams.
Okay.
What happens
Loading
to the
DLC.
myriad random thoughts
Oh, my connection to the game server was lost. Weird. Okay, so I've played some. It's at 18% complete, so I've played... Let's... You know what? I don't feel like playing this anymore. I don't... Too much going on, and we've been doing this a while, so I'm going to try to be a little more selective, not just click on everything that shows up, because there are apparently more games installed on this PlayStation 3 than I would have thought. Okay, Wheel of Fortune Rain, it was Grid 2. Probably played a little of that, Puppeteer. I feel like maybe I was getting this confused with Tearaway, because I thought I played Tearaway, but I think maybe I'm thinking it was this. We didn't finish it. It was an alright, I think it was an alright kind of 2D platformer. I think it's multiplayer, so I think I was playing it with my wife. Castle of Illusion. People said they really love, well, what is this, a Genesis game? It should be quick to load up and go. This was one of those games where, oh yeah, Mickey Castle Illusion, one of those good Disney games. And I played it when they did this little remaster thing. And I didn't care for it. Man, I didn't realize they've been doing these kind of pseudo remaster sort of things for these Disney games for this long. Weird. Weird. Sure, let's just go. I forget sometimes that how much Genesis games sometimes looked like NES games with a little more graphics. Like, I always expect them to just look like my memory of Super Nintendo games. And sometimes, like, look at that HUD down there. Uh-oh, one of these buttons has to jump. Okay, I found the jump button over on the circle. Can't jump on that guy, okay? I seem to have one button that does anything. Now I have apples. Can I throw an apple like I'm Aladdin? Yes. Is that why Aladdin throws apples in that game? Uh-oh. That was bad news. Got a little star. Yeah, there's a Mickey Mouse game on the Super Nintendo that I really liked when I was a kid that, one, looks way better than this. And I think, boy, this jump feels awful, man. Like, it is sluggish. Like, all the movement is sluggish and just, ugh. Awkward. This is... No wonder we didn't play much of this. I'll have to find that. Fire up. Oh, motherfucker jumped. Hey! What? I can jump on top of him. What? How come it didn't work the first time? Now I'm even more confused. Uh-oh. Oh! I killed Mickey. Sorry, everybody. I killed Mickey Mouse. Oh, it's okay. We're still going. Oh. But... Okay, why? Why? What? Do I have to... This is me being quite confused. Oh god, that was hard on the eyes. That is not very smooth scrolling right there. Oh, that made me a little nauseous. Oof. Well, at least he's got a big old jump, Mickey Mouse. Ah, I just got wrecked by an enormous apple. Whoa, okay. Ah. Oh, what do we got now? Whoa, I was not expecting that to move. Okay. Nope, got hit. Okay, I have to hit the jump button again, so I show them my ass, and that kills them. Got it. Unnecessarily complicated. Ah, fuck you, little leaf bug thing. Oh. This. Okay, so if the leaf is facing that way, it's gonna... do that? Is that what I'm gonna take from this? Okay. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Oh. Suck my butt. Suck my butt. Ah. Still got hit by another thing. I'm gonna just jump down. Clearly there will be something to catch me there. Oh, nope. Okay, that's enough of that. So, you know, that's not a great feeling game. It's pretty sluggish feeling, like, it's just not fairly responsive. This jump is really awkward. Like, okay. I also don't know what Lone Survivor is, but it's a game by Jasper Byrne? Guess we could start it up. What did I just say that I wasn't going to do? I was going to start every game on this system because I've been doing this for an hour and a half and I probably shouldn't just keep touching every game on this system, but it seems like I can't help myself. It's taking too long to load. It's gonna... So I know this had to have been a PlayStation Plus game. I know I didn't buy this. Because I was going to say I've never heard of it. Clearly I heard of it because I saw it was a game. Oh god. Let's just... Oh boy. That text is kind of hard to read. Pixel art horror game, I guess. My name is not important, yeah. So this is I feel like what we've got here is not quite getting the what worked about setting the tone. Okay, in those earlier games, which is that I didn't have to like they hooked us in before we needed to read a bunch, which is super important. This game immediately having me read a ton of dialogue, and that I feel is more off-putting. Like, so it's weird pixel art horror game. Can't do anything right now. Like, so much text, so much talking. I'm just gonna walk up to it. What happens? Nope. Oh, I think I might be dying. Can I just hide here? Oh, I'm just gonna stare here. What is... Okay. They've lost me on that one. Maybe it's an okay game if you've got patience to start. If you're going in going, okay, I need to have a little patience for this. Clearly just going and pushing the button on what makes all the games start playing on an old PlayStation 3 is not the mood for this. Thomas Was Alone. Some people really like Thomas Was Alone. This guy's been pretty successful. I'm happy for him. Thomas Was Alone didn't do anything for me. It's a weird platformer where you're just a square. Like, I'm not going to start up BioShock Infinite. It has a really good opening. I'm not going to start it up. I think the weird revisionist history where actually nobody likes BioShock Infinite is weird. I think, like, I really liked BioShock Infinite, and I think I might still like it. I've got it installed on the Xbox One X, the HD version, and so I would like to take some time to play it again someday. It's not a super long game, so I could. Again, back to my spiel about replaying games. I think there's probably some of it that doesn't hold up as well, but what really worked about it was the interaction between your character and Elizabeth, and they did a lot of work to make that feel fairly natural, in a way that you didn't see a lot of the time. Like, this came out around the same time as The Last of Us, and both those games went for something very similar in that respect. And you didn't see a ton of that in video games. Often, even when they did have a computer-controlled character that hung out with you throughout a game, they were often more of a hindrance than anything. And so both of those games did a lot of work to try to solve those sorts of issues, make it feel like you had a companion who was going through this journey with you and were just as important to the story as your character, and they both were pretty successful about it. BioShock Infinite definitely has its moments where you're like, this is... But for the most part, I thought it really worked. Like, the style was great. I don't know. Looking at the way Ken Levine ran a studio through a 2022 lens, looking back a decade, probably he doesn't come off very great. From what I heard here, like a lot of crunch, a lot of sort of tantrums, sort of the kind of shit you expect from an artist. I don't know how bad, like, that studio, for all intents and purposes, hasn't existed for the better part of a decade now, so, like, it's all just, it is what it is, I guess. This was a great Devil May Cry. It's a real bummer that there's so many people who just couldn't get on board with this sulky, scrawny, emo Dante, because, like, a little bit I get that, like, the original Dante is such an anime cool guy that going to for this look, like, I can see that being off-putting, but once you get in the game, you can see how they kind of translated his attitude into what honestly was a very much more modern version of that character. And aside from that, like, I think that mostly worked, but aside from that, like, it was a really good action game. Like, just ignore that stuff for a second. It is a great action game. I'm not a Devil May Cry purist, though. I think that first one has always felt super clunky, and I've never been able to push my way through that first Devil May Cry. Like, it's just, like, I can see, well, I'm gonna start this up while I'm talking and play opening cutscene or something. Like, you can see where the Resident Evil was in that first game. Like, because if you don't know, the first Devil May Cry started out as a Resident Evil spin-off of some kind. Like, it was, I don't know what it was meant to be, but that's where its origins are, and you can see it a lot in so many places, like the way the camera is, the look of, they kind of did the Resident Evil thing with the title screen here. That's funny. I didn't remember that. Will we get an attract screen if I don't push start? I don't know. What was I saying? Alright, that first Devil May Cry, like, the way the environments looked, the way there were these, well, they weren't really much puzzles, but, you know, get the red thing and go over to this hole in the wall where you clearly stick a red thing and it opens a door over here, and, like, very Resident Evil in structure. And I always thought it felt a little clunky. It always looked cool as hell. Like, I really wanted to like Resident Evil or Devil May Cry the entire time it existed, but it just didn't do it for me. And so I've never played Devil May Cry 2 or 3. I hear 2 is really bad. No, let's just start the game. I just want to start the game this time. And so, like, yeah. So those PS2 Devil May Cry games aren't something that hold a special place for me. Like, I think they look really cool, but I never got into them. I really like Devil May Cry 4 on the Xbox 360, which I understand at this point that there are Devil May Cry fans for whom that is not held in super high regard, which I understand that backtracking through and doing basically the whole game again just as Dante instead of Nero is, it's a questionable choice. Probably due to maybe they didn't get as much of a budget for that one or something, I don't know. But damn, that game looked good when it came out. Judging by looking at this game right now, I'm gonna guess that it probably doesn't hold up super well, but goddamn, that game looked good when it came out. And personally, I prefer playing Nero over Dante, because I know that might be sacrilege to people who like these games, but man, using his little grabby arm to just cruise around, like, I like the motion. Bop, 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 bop. That's what I want to do in an action game. I want to be on the friggin' move, and Dante feels a little more like, he doesn't feel as mobile to me. But regardless, I really like Devil May Cry 4. Devil May Cry 5, also great. Really enjoyed that game. Did a great job of bringing it into a new generation. Really happy with it. Seems like they're going to get to make more of those. That's fantastic.
Friday it is then. You have a good night, Mr. President.
That's a line.
Over $1 trillion. Soon I will own everything worth owning. I will control the world through debt. I have absolute power.
The world is at last your bitch, as am I. Nothing
It is a
but
little
grab
amazing,
by the
like,
hair, bend it over,
what
and
memory
what's
does
the matter?
to... Wow, there is a lot of screen tearing going on in this cutscene. I am a little shocked by that.
A loose end.
Wonder if that's coming across on the stream, but when they're moving camera, like, clearly, they did not V-sync
He's still
on
out
this.
The
Weird.
hunters will find him. They found Sparta and his whore.
The 360 PS3 generation, like,
there. I
because the graphics got so much more detailed and complicated than even the PS2, like, it's like, in the memory, they look like modern games, but when you go back and play them, you're like, oh, like, the animation doesn't hold up as well, like, the graphics, textures, like, there, you can see there's not as many, like, just everything about them, like, oh, these aren't as, aren't as fantastic looking as I remember, which is bound to happen. Like, it's not shocking that that's the case. Like, looking at this, I'm like, boy, the models and the movement is the thing that shocks me, is that the animation doesn't hold up to modern standards. Like, that's the thing that has been such a subtle shift over time that it's hard to, like, some of this, like, the movement is really good, and some of it, like, that guy at the bar, like, he's so stiff. And that's been a thing that has subtly improved over time, you know? And so, it was never like, oh wow, this game, like, there have been moments where games certainly look like, oh, this is where things are going, like, back to The Last of Us, like, that is a game with performance capture, like, like, this whole generation, like, that might be the, like, I don't know that any other game meets that standard, you know? But, yeah, it's a thing that improves so subtly over time that it doesn't stand out that, oh, right, that is something that just any big budget game does better than even the best of the games from 2 generations ago at this point. It's a weird thing. And it really stands out when it's not great. Like, I think that's one of the things that Cyberpunk doesn't do very well. It's like, the characters and the performance capture, like, sometimes it still very much feels out of this generation and not a modern game. See, this game, it's also they managed to take the time to do a lot of setup here. Like, I'm actually a little surprised that I haven't been slashing and shooting anything yet. You've taken a lot of time to set the tone. See, okay, his model, his face, the animation there looked pretty good. Better than I think those first 2 characters talking to each other in that cutscene. Which it should, like, he's going to be the character you see the most in this whole game, so it makes sense that they did the most work on his model.
He is undoubtedly a traitor and a terrorist. And I, for one, am not for the death penalty. One way to do it. Illegally shoot the son of a bitch.
This is Bob Barbas, just doing God's work.
But yeah, even the mouth animation is a thing that, like, certainly it seems like it's probably the hardest thing in animation. Like, I am not an animator, I'm not an artist, like, I can't speak to how hard it must actually be, but it seems like the thing that is, you know, the least consistent in video games is getting that right. So this seems a little off. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. This has got a style though, like, look at this. Once we got out of showing a bunch of humans and trying to make them look good into this kind of weird stylish shit, like, this already looks better. Again, clearly not up to modern standards, but not too bad.
Shit. Back in limbo.
Like, seriously, look at this. This is fun and stupid. What is there not to like about what's happening right now? It's like, this is good, fun, Devil May Cry, stupidity. He flew through a trailer, they slow-moed it, and he grabbed his clothes while an enemy tried to hit him with his own trailer. Like, come on.
Missed.
Like, this is pretty cool looking. Oh, that's not an attack button. Okay, there's my jump button. There's a heavy attack, I think. That looks like a light attack. Okay, great.
Time for rebellion.
Yep, hold it to go up. Stylish.
Wanna fight? Let's go.
Like, this has its own style. Like, it didn't just... And it makes sense. Like, Like, it doesn't just look like Devil May Cry, like the other Devil May Cries, which makes sense because by this point, that style of game had gone out of vogue. Like, nobody was making character action games. I don't know where my dodge button is. Is there my dodge button? Okay. Like, nobody was making character action games. Like, they made Bayonetta this generation, and it's like, people love it. Bayonetta is great, but it didn't sell enough that Sega wanted to keep publishing them across consoles. Like, Nintendo came and took over publishing Bayonetta mostly because, you know, they had a Wii U. Wii U wasn't selling. They had lost a lot of their standing with hardcore gamers at that time because of the Wii being seen as the kiddiest of kiddie consoles. And so they needed the kind of game that they felt would appeal more. Like, come on, I landed on that thing, I could jump again. That could appeal to more, you know, people who would describe themselves as hardcore gamers. And so I'm just going through that bus. Okay, don't try to walk on the buses. Got it. And so Nintendo kind of saved Bayonetta and financed a sequel that would not have otherwise happened. Because that style of game has simply gone out of vogue. It's still not really in. Like, Devil May Cry 5 sold well. It's not a world beater. Like, it sold well enough that that guy is getting to make Dragon's Dogma 2, and they will make another Devil May Cry. That's good. It didn't sell as well as the new Resident Evils or the remakes of Resident Evils. And so, big budget games like this, you always have to take that into account. And so, which is all to say that I forgot what I was talking about originally, but this style of game, just it's not like on the PlayStation 2, you couldn't swing a stick without hitting a third-person character action game. Now, games that would have been that are open world third-person games in the style of an Assassin's Creed or something, and even that, actually no, that was 360 and early last generation. Now it's more wanting to be The Witcher, I guess. Like, kind of a midpoint between The Witcher and an Assassin's Creed. Like, what modern Assassin's Creed is. More RPG mechanics. Still open world. Like, the 8-hour action game like this is just not... It's not the world beater it once was. And so it made a lot of sense that when they made this, they were like, okay, Devil May Cry. People love Devil May Cry, but that style of game doesn't sell anymore. So how do we make that style of game and modernize it a bit? And what they did, like, they thought of it in a way different way. Like, went from a way different angle than, okay, cool anime badass with white hair and a red coat. That works well in the early 2000s. Like, anime was had kind of broken in the US at that time. And that aesthetic was really, like, you could really do a lot with that aesthetic at that time. It was appealing. But at this time, that wasn't the case anymore. Like, I don't know where anime was at that point. Like, it was in a transitional period, I think. You know, post DVD sales, but pre Crunchyroll and Funimation streaming. And so, like, making this like a more Western arts, like, and seriously, this is super stylish. Like, I think it was smart, but it just didn't work for them because the audience they needed to appeal to was people who played Devil May Cry, but that's a small audience. They needed to try to break out of that, and it didn't quite work for them. Which this is still a great game. DMC is a great game. It might be one of Ninja Theory's best games. Okay, enough of that. Enough pontificating about... Okay. Pixel Junk Monsters. Tower Defense. Tower Defense was a big thing in mobile games for a while in the 2000s. Back before they figured out how to just poke at everybody's lizard brains and make you know, some people with addictive personalities spend way too much money on fancy slot machines. Before that, we had tower defense games because they were relatively simple. They worked on a touchscreen device, and honestly, I like tower defense games. Like, they're fun. They're fun to poke around with. I think they're a good thing for a phone. This is a fun game. It had a 2-player mode. Played it with my wife. Pretty cool. Pixel Junk Monsters is pretty cool. Not gonna play it right now. Binary Domain. I've never played this. I saw a stream of it. It was wild. I don't think I need to play it. Seems like crazy anime Gears of War. Never played either of these Poker Night at the Inventory games. This seems like not the one. If you're going to play a Poker Night game, you probably want to play the first one. I think the character selection is probably better in that one. I've never played any of these. Like, maybe for 5 minutes for any of them. Trying going. I don't know. This looks like it's HD trial, so it's probably a demo. I don't even know if I've ever fired that up, so I'm just gonna continue that grand tradition. It's 2 hours of me talking about PlayStation 3 shit and PS1 stuff. My throat is getting worn out. I need somebody else to talk to on these things, so I'm not just sitting here rambling for hours. So, I bought a PlayStation, a PS1, one of those slim PlayStations, online a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. I'm going to try to recap it myself. I have never soldered anything. I have never recapped something. I don't know how that's going to go. Genuinely, zero idea how that's going to go. Because the listing said that it turns on. They tested it. It turns on the PlayStation. And I guess to the letter of the word, that PlayStation turns on. The little light on the front turns on. It got power. It doesn't output any video. It doesn't do anything. The disk drive doesn't spin. I don't know how to repair these things, but it seems like I paid not a lot of money for it, like $30 for it, and it came with 2 games and a demo disc. And it seems like paying somebody who knows how to fix something like that. I would clearly have to pay them more than I paid for the fucking thing to begin with. Like, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to fix it myself, because I've always wanted to learn how to solder anyway, so wish me luck on that. That's a long way to get around to. It came with a little demo disc, and I'm going to pop that in the PlayStation 3 right now. Never underestimate the power of PlayStation Interactive CD Sampler Disc Volume 4. So let's see what's on this. Should have switched the camera first. Probably wasn't a great look. Okay. So I think if I go up here, it'll give me the disc that's in somewhere. Ooh, Chrono Cross is good. I've never played Vagrant Story. Didn't know I had bought this. Going to have to install it on this PlayStation 3 at some point and play through it. Chrono Cross. Is that HD remaster thing? Is that going to come to something besides the Switch in the US? I gotta take another look. Like, coming out with an HD remaster of something and having it only on the Switch is just fucking mind-boggling to me. Like, games that run at the resolution that the Switch is capable of and use the horsepower that the Switch is capable of, have games coming out remastered on the modern consoles these days. Like, that's hardware is roughly, like, slightly more powerful than the 360 and PlayStation 3. Like, coming out with a modern game and calling it an HD remaster on a vastly underpowered platform is just astonishing to me. Like, release this damn thing on the PlayStation and the Xbox. Like, don't make... Come on, guys. Really? Alright, PlayStation format disc. So, now that I gave that little rant, let's while this is loading, I'm gonna Google Chrono Cross. Yeah, Radical Dreamers Edition. Did also come out on PC, that's probably true. Oh, come on, man, Google isn't as useful as it used to be. Okay, so that's on the Steam store, so... Like, it's so weird that Square's been releasing these JRPGs on Steam and then not on PlayStations. Like, I understand when they don't come out on Xbox. Why is it not coming out on PlayStation? Come on, man. What are they fucking doing? Like, sure, I could play this on a PC. I want to play it on the damn... on my console of choice, an Xbox or a PlayStation. Like, it might be silly, but if I'm gonna go replay these old games, let me at least get achievements or trophies for them. And I know Steam has their own achievements, but... like, Steam achievements are meaningless. Like, that is a system that has from day one just been ripe for, store.playstation.com. Okay, let's click on that link, see. Great job with the link there. It did not actually open the game that I searched for. So let's type Chrono Cross into this. Chrono Cross. Okay. So it does exist on PS4. Somehow missed that entirely. Okay, I would like a physical version of that, but I feel like that is asking for more than I'm ever going to get. Alright, I have never played PowerAppa the Rappa. I want to. I feel like this is going to be not the version. There is going to be too much latency coming out of a PlayStation 3 HDMI into this TV. Even though this TV is set... it should be set to game mode. Let's double check. I haven't played anything that required super. I don't think it was in game mode. It's in game mode? Okay, it's in game mode. We'll say PowerAppa. Okay, what we got? Kart World Series. I don't know what this is. Rear view, accelerate, brake. It's music. Aggressive. Shift up, shift down, get our time and status. Oh, we're gonna accelerate. Let's go. That's the late 90s, baby. You either got that chuggy guitar or you got you some techno. Those were the two brands of video game music you got in there. It either sounded like a Godsmack cover band, or it sounded like The Matrix. Those were your options. I'm not gonna set up my car. Let's go. Ofta, look at these car models there. Okay, I don't know. Okay, yep, there we go. D-pad, got it. All that chugga-chugging on... Oh! Wow! Oh, there goes my tire. Oh, my tire respawned. Sweet. Okay, I just gotta hang out in the grass a bit and I'll get to drive some more. All of that chugga-chugging guitar did not lead me to believe that this kart racing game meant like an F1 style racer. Oh, boy. Okay, this is rough. Can I... Okay, let's pause. Can I... Controller settings, let's go to analog mode and see if that works on this. Nope. I still have to use the D-pad. Okay. So apparently Kart World Tour, whatever the hell this was, I already forgot, is a F1 or IndyCar style racing game. I am losing terribly. That's fine. Oh, didn't learn? Learned. Oh, still spun. Okay. Can I... Yeah, let's quit out of this. That's neat. Coming October 97. Wow, this is earlier than I thought it would be. So we hadn't quite hit peak Matrix techno in every video game soundtrack, especially the demo CDs, yet. Still in the... Oh. Okay, so that was from this. Okay. Okay, it's unhappy probably because of this. The 97 was early enough that you can't take analog for granted. Croc! Yeah, actually 97 is still pretty early, so yeah, you can see no dual analog here. Let's see, jump, smash, tail whip. A lot of instructions. We're just gonna go with it. Oh, Croc, the Legend of... I cannot read that. Man. Low red. I still can't read that. Cabos? Are we going to Cabos? Legend of Gabos. Okay. Gobos? Okay, that's looking a little more legible. Oh, we're just in it. Okay. Boy, he talks a lot. Oh, I caught the edge of that. Okay. Oof. Okay. Okay, butt stomp. Oh boy, we got strafing on the bumpers. Oh, and a quick turn. Boy, remember quick turns? That was a time. So I don't seem to have much in the way of camera control then. Okay, that's just instructions on the box. Oh yeah, here are those swimmy polygons we've all been missing. That's what I meant about Parasite Eve looking better in a lot of ways. You couldn't see all these vertices and all the swimminess that PS1 games had a lot of. And this is a relatively simple looking game. It should be one of the best. Should hold up better. I think I need to... Yep. And I will say that the 3D platformer as a genre did not hold appeal to me for very long. Like, Like, I don't know if I've ever beaten Mario 64, not for lack of want. So, when I got my Nintendo 64, my dad gave it to me for a Christmas present, which was great. Very nice of him. Very happy. Okay, so the triggers do some stuff. Great present. Very happy Christmas. Very nice. But when he went to buy the Nintendo 64, he asked, whatever kid at the Walmart was in the electronics. God, this feels like garbage. Whatever kid was in the electronics section of probably a Walmart. Oh, you look like you're about to do something to me. Yep. I thought you might be a friend. Whatever kid was working in the oh, no. Okay, she missed. Can I go in? Oh, jumping up did me in. Okay. What game he should get for me with the Nintendo 64? I had apparently not specified any desire for a particular game, which makes sense. I didn't really think I was going to get an N64. So, it makes sense that I would not have specified the game. And the kid told him, oh, that's it, we did it. Fox Interactive. And he told him, Mario 64. Good guy, Walmart electronics kid. Mario 64. Great recommendation. My dad said, no, Mario games are too easy. I mean, it makes sense. He managed to beat Super Mario World eventually when he got an Super Nintendo. Mario games are too easy. Don't give me Mario 64. You know what game he got me? Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Boy, was being too easy not a problem with that game. Oh, that is a game. Now, weirdly, what I would have never thought is it was the less good version of that game because PlayStation 1 at least had the FMV cutscenes, which I had to have imagined. I've never seen them. They must be fantastic. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero is not a good game. It is hard as hell. It does not feel good to play. I haven't played it in decades. Maybe I will do that sometime because... this is one of these. Okay. Yeah, demonstration. I don't care. I'm going to shoot some things until I die and get kicked out of the game. You can do 2 players on this demo? That's pretty cool. Just pushing X until I get into the video game part. That's what demos are, baby. Yeah, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero is not a good game. Okay, that shoots stuff out my butt. Is that like the lock-on stuff? Must be the lock-ons.
August 5th, 2219.
What was this game called? I already forgot what this game is called after recognizing the name and going, oh, I think people liked this game. This actually looks pretty good. Oh, we got some Gundams in the background. You gotta love a game that does a good, not Gundam. This was after the heyday of this style of game. It was Ray something. God, I already died. Sure, let's go. Alright, I'll pick the other guy. Yeah, sure, just let it always be shooting, right? Whoa, this thing does a lot of... I don't really know what's happening in this game. There's a lot of stuff firing off. I guess I should have probably read more. There's lightning flying. I'm dying. I think the lasers... Okay, the lasers aren't... Okay, that's a special attack. Not just missiles, but a special attack. Okay. So I gotta build that special attack bar back up. the lightning just seems to happen sometimes with this ship. Boy, I'm doing awful at dodging any of the incoming attacks when they actually happen. Okay, managed to survive. And it's game over. That is Ray something. Ray Storm. Okay, maybe it's not actually. Well, no. Working Designs, huh? Weird. I thought Working Designs was basically just a JRPG. Oh. Didn't kick us back out on the... Nope, there it goes. That looked alright. Oh, no, it is not going to... Gotta love a demo that doesn't kick you out once the demo's over. Oh, are you kidding me? How do I... Oh, God, I don't know how to get back to the start of the demo. We're loading. We're stuck. This is just how I live now. I can only play Ray Storm. Uh-oh. I pushed select. And now it seems to be unhappy here. Oh, hey, select got us back to the... Weird. Select is getting us back to the demo. Okay, Ray Storm. Okay. Steel Rain. Never heard it looks like a car combat game. Those were very popular then. That makes sense. Porsche Challenge. Racing game. Treasures of the Deep. Boy, a lot of stuff. Okay, I've heard of that. Ace Combat 2. Armored Core. Ooh, we got a From Software game here, people. Shall Face Off. NFL Game Day. Oh, these guys are just videos. I'm probably going to wrap up soon. I don't know if I'll make it through all these games. So we're going to play a little Pa Rappa and see if this feels any good at all on PlayStation 3. They came out with that PS4 one, not that, well, everything relative to this is not that long ago. I don't know if they managed to get the latency and everything right enough for that to feel good. I feel like I should buy it and play it because it is a game that I have always wanted to play. People love this game. I like rhythm games. This seems super neat. Oh boy, that text is rough. I don't actually know what I'm looking for. Okay, at the top. Okay.
If you wanna test me, I'm sure you'll find the things I'll teach ya. Sure to beat ya. Nevertheless, you'll get a lesson from teacher. Now kick, punch, jump, block. Once more now, kick, punch, jump, and block. Don't get cocky, it's gonna get rocky. We're gonna move down to the next jockey. Now duck.
I haven't been rapping cool yet. Yeah, it feels... Uh-oh. Well, I've been rapping good, so I must not be... So this must be alright. Like, I don't feel like the feedback is as good as I would like for whether I'm hitting this or not. Like, I feel like I'm going late.
Come on now, why don't you follow my words because we're almost done. I'll make it easier first. I wanna see if you wanna see what it means to be the man with a master plan. Are you the man now?
Oh.
Here we go now. Kick, punch, block. Kick, punch, block. Chop, kick, block. Chop, kick, block. Block, down, kick it. Block, kick. Block, duck, punch.
Look, I feel like the right timing is a little later than it seems. Like, it's not where the head is on the thing. It's like right after. I assume that's all they gave you in this game. Like, it's not telling me that I failed it. Like, I was still rapping good. I was not rapping cool, but I was rapping good. Yeah, I'll have to. How much does that cost? I wonder if I still have the PlayStation app up on this. Yes, I do. Okay, first thing first, add the Chrono Cross game to my cart on the PlayStation, because I did not know it had come out there. Don't buy it yet. Just think about it. I would like to pay less than the $20 for it, please. So I should probably wait until we're getting closer to sales season, right? Christmas time. We're getting close. We're getting close. It's almost Halloween, which means I have heard Christmas jingles on the television. Oh, we're just loading that now because I stayed there for a second. Shit. So it's looking Pa-Rappa. Pa-Rappa the Rappa 2? Is that a newish game or did they Pa-Rappa the Rappa remastered. Come on, click on that. Okay. $15. That's like I said, this was a $50 video game, folks. $15 to just download it on a whim. That's the full price. That's not even on sale. If I wait till there's a sale, which there will almost assuredly be a sale sometime soon, probably half that. Pa-Rappa the Rappa 2, is that release date? So they only want $10 for that. Okay, it's still in 4x3, so it must be, I feel like you never hear about Pa-Rappa 2, and I'm guessing that might be because it wasn't as beloved. But I know people like Unjam and Lammy. I don't think they've done a remaster for Unjam and Lammy, though. Which is a shame. Okay, Alright, select just goes back to the demos, so we'll do that. I know what to do. I need, let's see. I need to potty. So, what I am going to do is I'm going to click on this video for NFL Game Day. I am going to take my camera off, and now I'm going to go have a bathroom break.
Show me the gameplay. Show me the gameplay. Show me the gameplay. I'm going to show you the gameplay.
They want to get the players' feedback. They want to get their interest. They want to go as far as to get their movements. So now when somebody plays a game, they're playing a simulation of an actual football game.
Sitting down with the programmers also lets you know how good they understand the game and in turn which allows them to make a better game. So obviously a lot of work goes into it, a lot of preparation.
The key was to get some realistic plays that Pittsburgh Steelers ran, defenses that we ran, specific plays that players really need in the game.
You look at the game and you go, well, heck, we run that same exact play.
One of the biggest things in the NFL right now is the zone.
Show me the gameplay. We got a zone blitz.
Into the game, different types of coverages that we play now.
Where did I put there it is. Yeah. Polygonal football, everybody. Okay, let's go through the rest of these games.
Show me the gameplay.
I'm refreshed now. Turret right, turret left, drive. changing right and left weapons. Okay. Fire right and left weapon. Fire right weapon. Fire. Oh god, am I gonna push forward to drive this car? Ooh, seems like... So, for those of you who, let's say, are... go 20 years old or younger, it's roughly in that neighborhood. Maybe you can be a little older than that. Anyway, there was a time in the 90s, back in the 90s, where car combat games were the thing, and everybody made one. And the one, there was Twisted Metal, that was the one, as far as I know, that was the one. Oh, these are tanks. It's a tank game? Let's go with the big boy. I thought that was a pickup on the little teaser image. Car combat games were everywhere. This is a tank game, which is not quite the same thing. Okay, follow the red arrow. Although I feel like it's gonna be a little similar. Okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought we were in store with a name like Steel Rain and what looked like a pickup on the cover. I thought we were going to be in store for a Twisted Metal Vigilante 8 style game. I don't know. Okay, left and right guns. Shoot them guns. Just gonna mash the shooting gun. Okay, so I got like a turret. I can't tell. Okay, so that's a turret. Okay, I can switch both. Okay, so that's like a missile thing. Okay, we'll put that on one and we'll put... Yeah, there we go. Gatling gun on one, missiles on the other. That seems like a good thing. And I think tank games were kind of in that milieu at that time, you know? Like, there was a couple of these weird bad tank games on the N64 that we could rent, and so we played quite a bit of them, but they were not good. I don't remember what they're called. Yeah, there's the pickup I was thinking of. Yeah, fuck these trailers. This actually doesn't feel too bad. This is better than what I expected. I don't know what's going on, why any of this is happening, but it feels better than I was anticipating for a game I have literally never heard of. I mean, it doesn't feel great. Pushing forward and turning on the same oh, I got an ion cannon on that. On the D-pad, kind of feels rough. Like, it feels like I'm pushing too hard, kind of, which isn't great. Fuck your tags. Oh, I see. That's what you're saying. Okay, so I can tank it up and not face the way that I'm driving. Is somebody shooting at me? Is that... Oh, there we go. Helicopter. Like, you're not really aiming. Like, when there's something above you or below you, like, it just is auto-aiming. So I guess it's kind of Doomish in that way. But this is not the giant mess that I was anticipating based on the demo teaser screen. Yeah, lasers. Oh, not a laser, so it switched to the ion cannon. Objective targeted. Let's take this chopper out. There we go. I might need to get closer to that. I don't seem to be taking it out. Well, I guess it's either that or it's just gonna take a lot to take it down. Can I change that? Oh, there it went. Yep, it's just taking a lot. Okay. Ooh, I got a shield failure. So I guess what I was saying about car combat games is a little bit of a moot point, because this isn't a car combat game, it's not what I was expecting, but this kind of style of vehicular combat game, you saw a lot of that to varying degrees. Often, like, usually in, like, it's a multiplayer, split screen kind of fighting each other sort of thing, which, you know, they all had single player modes, because you could not have a game without a single player mode back then, because, you know, having an internet connection was not a given, and these consoles did not connect to the internet even if it was, so you needed to have something to do when there was nobody around to play these games with. But yeah, you could blow things up in a tank or a school bus or an ice cream truck all day long during this generation. I'm just going to try to drive across this. It seems like it might have been a bad idea on my part. Yep, I sank. Couldn't tell. Didn't know how deep it was. That's a Sony game. Wow. Clearly it is time for a Steel Rain remaster. Okay, we died and we're done. That's that for that one. That was better than I thought it would be at all. Porsche Challenge, that sounds like it's going to be awful. Okay, accelerate, brake. Remember, acceleration always being on the face buttons instead of triggers. That's sure was a thing. We sure was a thing that didn't get figured out for a while. I think that shit continued into PlayStation 2, even though, like, racing games on the Dreamcast figured out. I was like, oh, we got these nice analog triggers where you can control your speed. That's a great place to put them, but I think the PlayStation 2 didn't have analog triggers. I'm struggling to remember. I don't think they were analog, but they had analog face buttons, which was a choice that they made. Oh god, I didn't see which button changes my view. I don't want to be in... Uh-oh. Yep. I forgot that select brings you back to the, select is not an in-game button on this demo disc. Select brings you back to the demo menu. I just wanted to change my camera. I do not race in first person. These load times sure are fun. I'm glad they only put one loading screen in here. Okay, try this again. Reverse. Rear view. Change view is left trigger, it looked like. It's Crazy Taxi had. You drove with the triggers. Felt great. I feel like there were more racing games back then. I didn't really earnestly start playing racing games and well, 360, I guess. Like I'd play one, like I felt like playing one in a generation was usually about good enough, and these days I play more than that. Okay, this doesn't look too bad. A lot of backgrounds going on. It says I'm doing 200. It does not feel like I'm doing 200 at all. So, not a great sense of speed then, I guess. Boy, it feels a little too close. This feels too far, though. I pulled back too far. 235. Does this feel... Oops, I accidentally changed the camera because I habitually went to the left trigger for the brake button. Oh. Okay, this doesn't feel like... Initially it seems like, oh, this doesn't look too bad, it doesn't feel too bad, but as soon as, like, oh, it's got time between checkpoints. It's like a, outrun style system, okay. Interesting. Yeah, like it's super eager, even at apparently 180 miles per hour, for you to turn super sharp and just start skidding. Oh god, I have no... 170 miles per hour I took that curve at. Okay, what is that speedometer saying? I am not going over 200 miles per hour. Is this 200 feet per hour? Is that what I'm going at? Because we are... This is not Oop, we're going to that wall bit. It's fine. We're good. We're fine. We're up to 4th. We're... You know, when I was in 6th, I thought this game was pretty garbage. But now that I'm up into 4th, I think, it might be okay. This is an okay game. Let's see if, let's see how I feel if I can get up into 3rd. The music seems to have stopped. Oop. Oh. That fence fucked me hard. Oh, now I'm back into 5th. I'm thinking this game is a little lame. A little lamer again. I don't know. Yeah, this doesn't feel great. Which I didn't expect it to. Like... It's weird how Porsche kept wanting to have their own... Well, I guess it's not just Porsche. There was a... Lamborghini specific game for this generation too. I don't know if it was on the PlayStation or not, but it was... I played on the N64, Automobile Lamborghini. It was not a good game, but again, back in those days, if your friend owned a game, no matter how good it was, you were gonna play it. Oh, I ran out of time. And I'm in 5th. Time up, game over. So, okay, that wasn't great. That mostly looks like a Porsche though. They did a Porsche model. It was taking too long to go through every game that was installed on this PlayStation 3, so what did I do? I popped in a demo disc and started playing every game on the demo disc. I am clearly not a smart man. What the hell is Treasures of the Deep? I have never heard... Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, it's got an extra button that says to view demo. I don't want to play this. There was... That list of instructions was insane. That was nuts. That was too much. I can't take all that in for a demo. Namco, what are you doing? What were you doing, man? That was... Black Ops Entertainment. Ooh, boy. What the fuck is this game? Is it a submarine game? No, it's not. It's not a submarine game. It's... I thought it was going to be like a weird little exploration game. Oh, just a body and... Crocodile in a net. You got a little... You got submarines. That submarine died. What was the undersea arrow trap thing? What in the hell is this game? 8 different... So there's subs. Sub, diver, ROV, whatever that means. 16 unique weapons / equipment. Continue feature for extended play. What is Treasures of the Deep? I have never heard of this game in my life, and that looks wild. That can't be a great game then, right? But oh man alive. I just realized when I upload this archive to YouTube, I'm gonna want to know all the games that were in this that I played today, and I should have wrote those down. So that I didn't then have to figure out what they were. So I screwed up. Oh well, that's a problem for future me. Okay, people like Intelligent Cube. It's like a little puzzle game. Mark, capture, accelerate, bomb, change view and move. Okay. I'm glad Treasure of the Deep had a just play this video instead of playing the game with all these this insane number of instructions that we put on the screen. But holy man alive, that game looked nuts. Yeah, stretch out my jaw. I've been using it enough. Oh, there's a 2-player option. We're just gonna jump. We don't no, but I don't care about the rules, man. Rules are made to be broken, man. Second stage? Start on the first stage. What are you doing to me? Oh, balls. Okay. Oh, I got crushed. I'm dead. I'm a dead man. What button was the bomb? Oh, God. Oh, that sped things. Maybe I should have looked at some kind of rules or something. IQ 0. Okay, this is still unlike the one that I wanted to just bop out to the main menu. This one I actually would like to take another try because I did not get what was happening. And this one appears like it's going to just bop me back out to the demo. Yep, there it goes. Alright, that was Intelligent Cube. I had no idea what I was doing and I died immediately. Okay, Armored Core. Every button has a thing it does. Event Sword. Alright. Boost. Fire Weapon. Change Weapon. Strafes. Look up and down. Look up and down on... Oh boy. Alright, here we go. Armored Core from Software. The Dark Souls of the PlayStation library. Oh, that actually looks a lot like a font that they would use in a modern From Software game. Well, that's the last of that drink. Which means we are definitely on a time limit. Scenario or versus? Let's go scenario, please. Load game? Why is there a oh god. Yes, please. Oh, I'm not going to shop or check any of the other stuff. We are going to fight. Yeah, we're going to destroy a gun emplacement. So much text. Okay. Launch sortie. Yes, please. Not everybody understood how to get you into a demo. For a demo, you do not want to have screens full of text. Fantastic. In the water, okay. I've got a Zoc. Okay, alright, that's a boost. Okay. Right, strafe. Okay, that's my shooty. Oh, that's my gun. I remember that now. I'm not surprised that this is kind of a lot. Okay, we're just gonna... Yeah. Let's get this flying thing dead first, shall we? Yeah, got it. I've got a finite amount of ammo, though. Well, as far as a mech game for this era, this doesn't seem so bad so far. Like, it is honestly fairly similar to that tank game so far, except, you know, we're not just in sand causing a mess. Oh, that was yeah, some locks on, and here we go. Just back in these days, you circle strafed. That's how you did your business. Ain't nobody can hit me. I'm circle strafing. Alright, look up and down with the triggers. Forgot about that. There we go. Figure this out. This seems like a game I probably would have liked on the... oh, shit. There we go. Alright, got some boost. Now you can't hit me. On the PS1. Like, this seems like I would have put some time into it if I'd have had any idea existed. I knew that these existed by the PlayStation 2, like I saw them in stores, but never played one. It did always seem... oh, man. Look at all that money I lost completing that mission. Okay. Armored Core. That's neat. I wonder if they really will make a new Armored Core. Translate that into a modern sensibility. Like, I would like some cool new mech games. Like, it's weird how mechs kind of, like, fall out of favor sometimes. I really liked Battletech. I know it's not the same thing at all. Ace Combat 2. Okay. Oh, boy. I'm just going to view this one, because that was a lot. I don't know. I've never been an Ace Combat person. I don't know if I've ever even played one. So we're going to look at this, what they put together for the demo, because I feel like the last time we did that, it was a trip. I'm excited to hopefully see another trip here. Let's see some nutso Ace Combat. Okay, we stalled into a dive or something. There's no music in this thing. No sound effects. Why is this the demo? Why? Was this just did they think this was such a graphical showcase that that's what you need to do? Wow, was that it? Wow, that was, okay. Ace Combat, y'all. Yeah, jets have never been my thing, and so jet fighter games have also never been my thing. Again, sometimes that was the last game at the gas station or grocery store that we had not rented yet, so we'd go, well, let's give this a try, I guess. And you'd play it, and you go, well, I'm not enjoying this, but it's the game we rented. It's what we got for this weekend, so I'm going to do my damnedest to try to enjoy it. And the good old days were not so good in some ways. That was one of the lesser ways in which they were not so good, to be clear. Alright, we got one last demo. It's a video of NHL Face-Off 98, so let's see what is up in here. This is 989 Games. Is that who was making these Sony sports games back then? 989 Sports. It's not EA. Man, remember when there were a bunch of studios what made sports games? And now you got like one choice for each sport? Astonishing, the state of sports video games, especially since they sell so much. Like, it's got such a built-in audience. It's weird that sports games are just not, like, you get one option for each. Like, you get EA will give you Madden for the footballs, and they make an NHL game. I think they're the only ones making an NHL, and I guess, I don't know, are they still making NBA Live? Like, you never hear about NBA Live. Like, it seems like every 3 years they put out an NBA Live. It's like, we got it. We've got it this time. And then it comes out and like, nah, this is bad. Wow, that was less of a video than the football one was. They're just like, oh, here's some hockey video game. Alright, that's this demo disc. That's all I got in the tank for doing this today, folks. It was fun to play some old PlayStation video games, both of the PS3 and PS1 variety. I think I have never played The Misadventures of Tron Bond, so I think I'm going to try my darndest to stream life is complicated, folks, and sometimes you don't always get to do the things that you want to do, and so streaming has not been a priority for me recently, which is fine because it's just a thing that I do for fun. Like, I'm not going to make any money on this because that would require enough people to watch that somebody wants to give me money for it. I just do it for fun, and hopefully that once in a while somebody finds these videos either on Twitch or YouTube and says, oh, hey, that was a good time. That guy's been paying attention to video games for a long time. He knows a thing or two. Or maybe I'm talking right out my ass. Who knows? At any rate, lots of real life shit to deal with, and so streaming isn't a priority, but maybe I'll try to play Mega Man games on Monday, and that will give me a good excuse to play The Misadventures of Tron, which is a game I have never played and have always wanted to play. So, I'm going to try to make that happen. Now we got a PlayStation 3, what plays PlayStation 1 games and streams them out to the internet, and it seems like it worked this whole time. So, this isn't a promise, it's just an idea. It's probably a bad idea, because literally no one has viewed that Mega Man X video I did. So, Mega Man doing them big numbers. At any rate, that's it for me for today. Thanks for watching on twitch.tv/Slayer1podcast or over on the YouTube channel. Which you can get to via Slayer1.com. You can also find our old podcasts via that particular website. And yeah, that's it for me. Until next time, be excellent to each other.